You plan on winning this fight against Gervonta?
I'm cracking. These jumps hurt.
Would you ever fight Canelo?
Get ready for 2 fights.
Wow.
Y'all can't do what I do.
What's the proposed purse?
Right in the front, right here. Front rester.
I think it's dangerous for him to go back in there and fight Lamont. I think Lamont is a hell of a fighter. I can see that going left. So he better be on his A game.
I took a knee because I had a bet on the fight for there to be at least one knockdown. But this ref sold my parlay, man.
Gervonta Tank Davis and Lamont Roach will meet in a WBA lightweight title rematch August 16 in Las Vegas. While pros are warning Tank if he does not perform well, he will lose big fights. Hence, Davis, one of boxing's top stars, was a major favorite when he was held to a shocking draw with Roach in March.
How many rematches have you fought?
0.
What do you have to do to create enough separation where this don't happen again?
Whew, it's a good question. It's going to be based on my training camp. I have to push myself a little harder if that didn't get me the win. And I have room. I definitely have room. I'm not going to lie, I have room.
You believe you fought the best Gervonta, or do you think he got some more gears?
100% for a fact. I think he might have some more gears, but I fought the best Gervonta.
Furthermore, Lamont Roach Jr. recently revealed that Gervonta Tank Davis is not the hardest puncher he's ever faced, which may come as a shock to some fans. Tank has a reputation for being able to knock people out and is regarded as one of boxing's most lethal finishers. But Roach's words indicate that although Tank is powerful, his power didn't overwhelm or scare him like it has with other opponents in the past.
Tank the hardest puncher I ever faced. No. And I ain't shitting on him or nothing like that. He can punch. But Jonathan Oquendo, he's from Puerto Rico. Bro, he got bricks in his hands, bro. I lie to you not. He punch hard. I ain't gonna lie. He a hard hit motherfucker.
In addition, American promoter and former professional boxer Oscar De La Hoya bluntly shared his view on the potential clash between Lamont Roach Jr. and Gervonta Davis, and his warning couldn't have been louder.
No, I think Lamont Roach is a terrific fighter. He might be a little over his head with Gervonta Davis. Gervonta Davis is, I mean, to say the least, he's a beast. He really is. He's a tremendous fighter. He's a dedicated fighter when it comes to training and fighting and making sure that he's in optimal conditions when he steps inside that squared circle. It's going to be a tough night for Roach, but you can never count him out.
In his view, Roach is the type of fighter who can catch opponents off guard, land clean combinations, and pull off slick stuff that never gets noticed. But that won't be simple against a stylist like Tank.
You know, watching him fight up close and personal, he's sneaky good, which means he can catch you at any time. He can land combinations, sometimes at will, without you even knowing it. You know, he's that sneaky. So, yeah, it's going to be very interesting. But, you know, obviously Gervonta Davis has the experience. He has the knowledge. He has that mean streak in him that will take you out with any punch.
When the subject turned to Gervonta Davis, De La Hoya referred to Tank as a beast in every definition of the term. A man who trains like a beast, comes to the ring with strong will, and knows how to remove your head. In addition, he cited Tank's killer, ring intelligence, and the capacity to flip a fight on its head with one shot as great threats. On the other side, Ryan Garcia, who has sparred with Tank Davis, Ryan Garcia has criticism toward Gervonta Tank Davis on multiple occasions. He believes Tank is too business-minded, and he avoids risky fights. But rather than giving Tank full credit, therefore, Ryan seems to brush it off, suggesting the finish was just a quick burst after a single big shot, and not necessarily a complete domination.
Tank is just too much like, he's too much of a business-orientated fighder. He's not taking that fight. I think he thinks he'll lose that fight. I'm sorry. He probably thinks he'll win, but I don't even want to talk about it. He got cracked and then Tank took off on him.
Was it a sequence of punches?
Yeah, it was a lot of punches.
In the meantime, Former American boxing champion Andre Ward had high praise for Gervonta Tank Davis, not just for his knockout power, but for the sharp boxing IQ behind it. Ward highlighted how Tank doesn't just swing for the fences, he sets traps, studies his opponents, and delivers devastating punches with precision, just like he did against Leo Santa Cruz.
Just see more with Tank.
Like he says, complete.
I can see him, he can do more. And I see a high IQ. People talk about the power, but you got to think about the IQ that set that power up. You know, and you see that with the Rolly Ramirez fight. Beautiful counter. He put himself in harm's way with his back against the ropes, allowed Ramirez to do what we know he's going to do, which is open up wide. And Tank waited on that opportunity and got the kill shot off.
Looking ahead, Ward predicts Tank's next fight won't be easy. He might get clipped, wobbled, or even dropped. But what sets Davis apart, according to Ward, is his ability to stay calm under fire, make mid-fight adjustments, and turn the tide when it matters most.
Landed it, and it did what it was supposed to do, but it's everything up to that point that shows me the IQ. So I think Tank's going to find a way. I think he's supposed to figure this out. But I don't think it's going to be easy, though. I think he's going to have to go through some fire. I wouldn't be surprised if he had to get off the canvas. I wouldn't be surprised if he had to overcome being hurt. I think both guys are going to be hurt in this fight, and I don't think he goes the distance.
Meanwhile, respected trainer and commentator Greg Hackett dove deep into the upcoming Gervonta Tank Davis versus Lamont Roach rematch. Hackett, never one to sugarcoat his views, broke down the rematch, pinpointed what Tank must change to come out on top, and shed light on how boxing politics are stifling one of the sport's most talented fighters.
I mean, listen, man. If you can't tell, man, that fight with them two, with Lamont and Tank, that's just gonna be what it is because they are tailor made for each other. That next fight is gonna be so good. They might have to do it 3 times, bro. I'm telling you, the styles just contrast really good. You know what I mean? They go together. That's going to be a challenge for both of them each time out. So we might be seeing a 3rd fight with them. That's all I'm going to say. That's going to be good.
Moreover, Hackett predicted that this rematch could even lead to a trilogy. He doesn't expect it to be one-sided and thinks both will need to make serious adjustments. He needs to rely more on his jab and stop focusing solely on landing a knockout. He should be more calculated and focus on combination punching.
The adjustments that need to be made on Tank's side is Tank need to work behind his jab more, and Tank need to focus more on combination punching. You know what I'm saying? Not trying to get the knockout all the time. For Lamont's going to have to be first. Lamont has to be first and has to get to that body. You know what I'm saying? Those are the adjustments in my eyes. You know what I mean? But who knows?
That is to say, but Hackett sees this as a competitive fight between 2 skilled boxers. To him, each fighter has specific things they need to do better. Tank Davis needs to rely more on his jab and stop always going for the knockout. Instead, he should focus on throwing combinations and setting things up more carefully. Lamont Roach needs to be more aggressive from the start. He has to take the lead and especially attack the body to wear Tank down.
I mean, anything can happen, but I'm gonna be honest. I think he gave Lamont a certain type of confidence that's gonna be hard to take back. You know what I mean? Because we got to remember, Lamont wasn't even competitive at 135. He was champion at 130. Now we talk about him being competitive at 135. I'm pretty sure he had a few questions, and they definitely got answered that night about himself. You know what I mean? So he found out not only can I compete at 35, I'm at the top of the food chain because Tank is supposed to be the best at 35 or one of the best. You know what I mean? So it's going to have to be some great adjustments getting made on Tank's side. I don't know what he was going through that night. That's not my business, but I know that fight was very close. I thought a draw was deserving. And, you know, I don't know. I don't know. The next one gonna be good.
Adding on, boxing analyst Kenny Ellis weighed in on the backstory between Gervonta Tank Davis and Lamont Roach, revealing that the two have shared the ring in both fights and sparring sessions, with Tank consistently getting the better of those exchanges. While Roach may have old footage showing moments where Davis didn't look his best, Ellis emphasized that this isn't new. Many of Tank's past opponents claimed they exposed him in sparring, only to fall short when it really counted.
Lamont and Tank have history. What can you tell us about their history and how that's going to play into the fight come fight night?
They got amateur history. They fought maybe 2 or 3 times. Tank being the winner. They sparred a few times. Tank got the best of the sparring. They're just bigger and stronger now, you know? Older.
According to Ellis, what happens behind closed doors doesn't hold much weight on fight night. History or not, Davis has repeatedly shown that once the lights are on and the bell rings, he shows up and shuts it down.
Now, it's some word out there that Lamont say, you know, he got some film that don't make Tank look too good. What could that? How could that affect, you know, the outcome on December 14th?
Shit, man. Tank, last 4 or 5 opponents all have film like, about how they beat him up in sparring. If that's the case, that shit happens. But fight night, we all know the outcome.
Not only this, but also Lamont Roach gave a calculated assessment of Gervonta Tank Davis's power after sharing the ring with him for 12 rounds. He admitted that Tank certainly possesses good power and understands why so many of his opponents have been knocked out. Yet Roach emphasized that his chin was strong too, and after he withstood Tank's best attempt, he knew he was still in the fight.
How do you assess his power after being in there for 12?
He got decent power. He got decent power for sure. I ain't gonna say it's exaggerated. I told you I got a chin. I ain't going like that. It's just not gonna happen. But like I said, I see why he knocked people out, and I think he felt my power too. Like I think that's what negated a lot of his shots. And once I took his best shot, I was like, oh yeah, it's time to roll.
What's more, Roach said Tank is quite smart in the ring. He is fast, explosive, and unpredictable, which adds to the danger he brings. Still, Roach believes his own power played a role in keeping Davis cautious. Drawing from sparring experience with bigger, even championship-level fighters, Roach made it clear he respects Tank's power, but he's not intimidated by it.
Like I said, I knew I had a chin. I mean, I spar guys that were like junior middleweights, like current champions that was at that weight. So I know I can take a punch. He's twitchy in there. Like I do see why he knocked people out. I mean, like being up close and personal. Obviously, I seen it on the TV like that, but I understand why he knocked people out. I'm not going to tell y'all because y'all going to tell him.
However, boxing icon Roy Jones Jr. has weighed in on the imminent rematch between Gervonta Davis and Lamont Roach. The highly anticipated second encounter between WBA lightweight champion Davis and challenger Roach is penciled in for Saturday, August 16th at an unconfirmed venue in Las Vegas. Their first bout, which took place in New York on March 1st, ended in controversy after it was declared a split decision draw. Davis took a knee to the canvas during the 9th round, although referee Steve Willis failed to rule an official knockdown. Nevertheless, Isaac Pitbull Cruz shared his honest opinion about Gervonta Tank Davis, where he sees a sharp decline in the superstar's performance. Known for his relentless pressure and fearless style, Cruz boldly claimed that while Tank still packs a punch and remains a serious threat, he's stagnating as a fighter. According to Cruz, Davis may still have knockout power, but he's no longer evolving his technique, and his ring IQ is stuck in neutral, and that could be his downfall.
Are you seeing improvements in Gervonta, or in your opinion, he's still the same Gervonta from that night you fought him?
Creo que no mejoró ni empeoró, creo que sigue siendo la misma persona Gervonta, pero creo que le entran más golpes ahora.
Why do you think that is, Pitbull?
Porque cara nunca había salido muy rojiza y en estas últimas peleas ya ha salido pues lastimada de alguna manera y creo que los rivales nunca la habían pues aguantado más del cuarto, del quinto round y ahora ya pues se le están yendo más allá del sexto, del séptimo round. Ya tienen pues una pauta para saber cómo pelearle, cómo tener más claro un plan estratégico de pelea.
Meanwhile, promoter Eddie Hearn weighed in on the upcoming Gervonta Davis versus Lamont Roach showdown with a measured take. He called the matchup decent, but stopped short of hyping it as a blockbuster. Hearn had respect for Roach's resume as a talented fighter and current world champion, but he said Roach's slight size disadvantage relative to Davis and his lack of popularity. In Hearn's view, whereas the bout carries good value for boxing diehards, it may not excite mass audiences as a genuine mega fight would.
What do you think of the announcement of the Gervonta Davis-Roach fight?
I think that, you know, it's had a lot of criticism, but it's not a bad fight. You know, Lamont Roach is a world champion. He's smaller than Gervonta Davis. The problem is not many people are aware of who he is or his ability, but he can fight. I don't think it's a huge fight, but not a terrible one.
Tim Bradley stated that what truly makes Gervonta Tank Davis stand out isn't flashy showboating or an overwhelming punch count, it's the combination of his formidable power and sharp ring intelligence. In Bradley's eyes, Tank doesn't simply throw heavy shots at random, he studies his opponent's style, times his punches strategically, and uses those bursts of power to punish any mistake.
Yeah, because the styles make fights, man. And obviously, Lamont Roach, man, look, anybody that can take a shot and that's tough, bro, and that can take it to Tank, they can beat him, all right? Roach, he mentally tough, had his game plan, was able to execute, was able to march forward in spots. He was able to control a lot of the action, you know, and he put the pressure and he hits hard enough to get Tank respect. You know, he landed on Tank, he didn't hurt Tank, and he was there, you know what I mean? He was there battling him mentally, you know, talking shit to him and, you know, going back and forth. Like, he handled his business. He did exactly what he's supposed to do. He did a great job.
Therefore, Tim believes that Tank needs to get better or step up their performance. If Tank wants to be involved in bigger, high-profile fights in the future, improvements are necessary. Tim suggested that just wanting big opportunities isn't enough. There has to be growth or progress to earn them.
Him and his team had him ready. You know, the second time around, I mean, look, Tank knows what he brings. You know, Tank knows he's a tough opposition. Tank knows that his style is tough as well. I'm sure Tank's gonna go back to the drawing board and see where they can improve in or improve on, and you know they're gonna come back and he gonna put their best foot forward, bro. But like, look, if this shit don't motivate you, Tank, you know, the fact you got to draw, the fact that you had a big fight lined up with Jake Paul after this, and now you got to wait, and now you got to do this rematch, bro.
Consequently, Tim said that if Tank doesn't deliver strong performances in his fights, he risks losing the support and interest of his fans. In other words, people expect excitement and high-level skill from him, and if he falls short, his popularity could decline.
Because, like, his name right now is getting drugged through the mud. You know, and all those fans that was on his side, bro, a lot of them are switching teams now, you know? So, you know, look, he got a lot to prove, not only to himself, but a lot to prove to his fans and his fan base out there. So he go back in there, had his rematch, and he do what he's supposed to do, like he's supposed to do the first time around. Then all the shit that happened in the pad, it swept under the rug, because that's just how, you know, the fans is and the sport is. You know, and then he moves on to bigger things. I guess Jake Paul's that guy.
In other words, Davis's toughness ensures that when he lands, it hurts badly, while his boxing IQ allows him to create and capitalize on openings, making that lethal blend of strength and smarts the real key to his success. As the highly anticipated rematch between Gervonta Tank Davis and Lamont Roach draws near, the stakes couldn't be higher. Roach is coming in with renewed confidence and something to prove, while Tank looks to make a definitive statement and silence any remaining doubts. With history, tension, and legacy on the line, this rematch promises fireworks. No more talk, just action. Does Lamont Roach have what it takes to finish what he started, or will Tank Davis shut the door for good? Will this rematch prove the first fight was a fluke or a warning sign for Tank? Can Tank make a statement with a dominant win, or is Roach ready to rewrite the narrative? Let us know your predictions in the comments.